Okay, so it's now 12:30, so we'd like to begin our talk show. So this is Nippon Cinema Now talk event. So we'll be focusing on how to create movies. Thank you so much for coming here. And we have 7 films being screened for Nippon Cinema Now. These are all new films, and we have 5 out of those 7 directors here today with us. And for Nippon Cinema Now, we have so these are like a smaller. We have a smaller commercial film with a star-studded cast. We have something that looks like an independent movie. Another one that's like a documentary. We have another one that's intermediate length, like at 40 minutes. So we have various films this time being screened, and we have the 5 directors here. And we'll have them talk about the production process, what they struggled with, what they were successful with, and so we can start with the production process. So anyway, let us welcome with a loud applause Director Nami Iguchi, who on the poster on the very left. And then we have Director Sangoumi Midori, 99% Cloudy Always. And then documentary, director Yamazaki, who directed Making of a Japanese. And then director Sawa Hiroshi, who directed Family. And director Akihiro Toda, who directed Ichiko. And my name is Ichiyama, Shozo Ichiyama. I'm programming director at TIFF, and we have English interpreters, Shion Ebina and Naomi Kizawa. So this is going to be interpreted simultaneously. And so now I would like to ask each director to introduce themselves and say a few words. Can we start with Director Iguchi? So for this festival, I have created a 45-minute short independent movie called Keep Your Left Hand Down. It's very nice to meet you all. Okay, then Sangoumi-san, please. Hello. I directed 99% Quality Always, and I am also in the movie as the protagonist, and I am Midori Sangoumi. It's very nice to meet you all. Okay. I have directed a documentary, which it's been 9 years since I really had this idea. It's Making of a Japanese, and I'm director Yamazaki. Okay. I directed Family. My name is Sawa. It's nice to meet you all. And I run a theater unit. And the theater unit, we played an original script called Ichiko, which I directed this time. My name is Akihiro Toda. Okay. So I am going to ask all of you about some questions. And then afterwards, we can have a Q&A session from the audience. So let us start with Director Iguchi. So, Iguchi-san, when was that? I think you directed Inu Neko. You won the Grand Prix at the PFF, and for that, and also you did a remake of that at PFF Scholarship. Oh no, not really. Oh, okay. How was it? Okay, it was a scholarship. It was at Tokyo Theater. It was a new director discovery section. Oh, okay. And so you recreated the same story with actors. So it was a piece of work called Inu Neko, and what was that? 15, 16 years ago. Inu Neko, the cat leaves home, and And you also directed Don't Laugh at My Romance or Sex is No Laughing Matter, and also Nishino Yukihiko. So these are like few films, and people are always waiting for your films, and you haven't created a lot of films yet. But so this time you directed Keep Your Left Hand Down, and it's not a 60-minute film. I guess it's a mid-length film of 40 minutes. And I saw it, and I thought it was wonderful, which is why we decided to screen it. So how did you come to create this piece of work? Well, for this symposium, I think, we are going to talk about filmmaking. Well, that's what I heard before, but so I don't think that my comments will be so much of reference, but okay, so there's a novelist called Mieko Kanai, and she has an older sister who's an artist, Kumiko Kanai, and Kumiko-san, she has like a patron, so there's a collector who buys her work, and so this person it was going to invest in something, and this person suggested, let's do a movie together. Oh, okay. And because it was because you haven't been filming so many films and people were worried? Yes. The two Kanai sisters were like that. And they said, why don't you do a movie? And they contacted me. And it was during the pandemic. So there was a 2-year blank, but and then COVID was going to almost be settled. So last year they contacted me again. They said they were really serious. You're going to do a film. And so I planned the idea. And before that, I wasn't doing anything commercially. But there's another film when a child makes a movie. Oh, yes. That was a documentary. It's called Children Meet Cinema. I did a documentary on that, and Kanai-san saw that, and she said, why don't you film a movie where a child is being born? So I was going to have a sitting where a child was being born. Okay. So there was really no idea beforehand, but Kanai-san just suggested an idea. Well, the two Kanai sisters, they never, directed a film before or made any film before, so they have an investor, and they just said, let's just go and do it. And also they said, let's have children, making a riot, and maybe not be a long feature film. So that's why it's a mid-length film. But so that's what we focused on, and we said, how can we make kids to make a riot? Okay. So why did they say it shouldn't be a long feature film? Well, because before the children's documentary, this was also an independent film, but there's a place called Shoin Temple, a shrine, and then there's a cafe there called Tobibako, and then for school, so they were going to create a short movie for a school festival, and then there's a scene where the kids are like making a big scene, making a riot, and then so I worked on that, and Kanai-san liked that scene, so that's why she said, let's do another child one again, 2 in a row. Okay, so when you put 2 together, does that become a program, or you didn't have that in mind? Well, it's been 3 years afterwards. Okay, so they were both are not like connected to each other. Okay, so the investor had nothing to do with the film industry. No, usually in the film industry, you would have to have a long feature film, or else, they can't distribute it. It has to be at least like an hour and a half. But you weren't really hung up on that. No. Okay. Thank you. Okay, Sangoumi-san, 99% Cloudy. Always just to introduce her. 2 years ago, we started Amazon Prime Take One Awards at the TIFF. And so we started this as a short film competition. And Sangoumi-san had entered a piece of work that was my college thesis, yes. And then you won the special jury award. They only have a Grand Prix award for Amazon Prime Take One award, but it's because that was a contract. But the jury really liked your film, and they even thought about which one should be Grand Prix. And so that's why they had created the special jury award just for your film, and so you won that.
So that's what happened 2 years ago, and then after that, 99% Cloudy Always was directed by you after that. And then this has nothing to do with Amazon. You made this film on your own, right? Yes. And then we screened it one time already, and then during the Q&A session, we talked about this already. So this was a special jury prize that was created for me, and then that was not planned. And so I was really happy about receiving it. And then there was a closing party, and then I think it was the theater in the basement of Toho. And then I went up the stairs, and then Kim-san was the Grand Prix winner. And then the Amazon people just ran up to her and then said, let's talk about making the second film together. And then I was standing next to her, and then I said, do I have something for me? And then Amazon said, of course we have something for you. I remember this vividly. So yes, the Amazon people did say that there was something for me. And then I was waiting for them to come back to me with a prize, and then they didn't come back to me, so I contacted them, and they said, I don't think there was a prize for you, but let me get back to you. And I didn't have an email to prove this as an evidence, and then I was waiting for months and months, and then the following year, so that was last year, there was a film festival, and then at that time, the winners of the first Amazon Prime Video Take One, they said that they were going to upload the pieces, and then I was reached out by Tanaka-san, and then I said, I thought I was supposed to get a prize, and then Tanaka-san said, let me check on that, and then he came back to me and said, there is no prize for you, and I was so disappointed, and then I thought, okay, I didn't have money, and I couldn't do anything, and I was trying to think of what to do, and then, no, hold on, the order is different, so I think it was afterwards that I contacted Tanaka-san, but anyway, so there was a hearsay saying that I may not be able to get the monetary prize, and then after that, there was the subsidy from the cultural agency, Art for the Future, AFT. And then I heard that they were running this, and I didn't know anything about the finances, but I thought this is an opportunity. Unless I get the money from them, I need to use my own savings to make a film. And then I learned how to do the paperwork and everything, and then I was able to get the subsidy from the agency. And then after that, I started to have communication with Tanaka-san, and then I said to him, can I get the monetary prize? And then he said, no. He checked that for me, and he said, no, you won't be able to get it. And I was like, thank goodness I was, I took actions to get the subsidy from the agency. And the Grand Prix winner has the right to propose her idea. So it doesn't mean that she will be able to make a film always, but she will have the right. And then when you are an independent filmmaker, you don't know exactly how to access Amazon, but you will be able to have the right to make a proposal to them. So that's a wonderful prize from Amazon. And then we found out that the special jury winner would not be able to get that access. Right. So I was really disappointed. So it was kind of, I was happy, but that was that was lost in vain. And then I thought that, a no name director like me will be able to make a film that's worth about 100 million yen, but that didn't happen. So Art for Future was created in support for the artists during COVID, right? Yes. So I don't know how much it was for the first time, but I believe that they were just making short or intermediate long films. And then for the second time, the amount of the fund increased, but there was a criteria. You had to screen it in movie theaters. So yes, there was a subsidy granted during COVID for 2 years, and then it was great because even if it's not a big film, you'd be able to submit your application for it, and then you won it, right? You passed, and then after that, well, I didn't know whether I was going to pass it or not, but in parallel to that, I made a proposal, and I did the casting without knowing that I would be able to get the subsidy. That was quite bold, and I said, we may have to cancel the hiring if I don't get the subsidy, but I was getting that result in summer or later, so I completed the casting in fall. So you basically funded this movie with a subsidy? No, the remaining was paid by me. Yes, so it's a pure independent film, and I have nothing right now, no savings. Okay, let's talk about your film, Yamazaki-san. So you shot this documentary at an elementary school during COVID, and then you did the shooting for quite some time, quite a long time, right? So in terms of the financing, how was that done? So I went to a public school in Osaka, elementary school in Osaka, and then my father is British, and then after graduating from a local elementary school, I went to international school, and I went to the U.S. for college, and then I became more Americanized, and then I realized that my foundation was created during the elementary school years that I spent at a local public school, and then I'm always punctual, I'm responsible. I used to get those compliments when I was working abroad, and then I thought, well, this is perfectly normal in Japan. And then I realized that foundation was created in elementary school, and I thought I should make a film about this. So that was 2014. And then I spent about 5 years, and this is my third feature film. So what it means is that I was able to make two, complete feature films before that. Before my third one, this one. And I had this dream of shooting for a year at an elementary school, a public elementary school. And then during the Olympic year, Setagaya Ward was the host town of the U.S. team. I learned that. And then I thought maybe I could speak to the public school in Setagaya Ward, saying that, this is a great opportunity for them to communicate about them to the world. And then I finally got the approval from the municipal office, and then I talked to the principal of the school, and then I got their understanding, and then COVID hit a month before the shooting started, and then I wasn't sure if I needed to cancel my project, and maybe I needed to wait for 5 years before restarting this, but I thought that, this is during COVID, but that's when the world, the situation of the world became evident. I thought this could be a really special opportunity for me to shoot something unique. And then I wanted to go to school every day if I could. And this is documentary, but, keeping the cast for one whole year is going to be costly. And then I made a lot of documentaries for NHK, and then this time around, I decided to collaborate with NHK as well. And then I was able to use camera people from NHK. They're employees of NHK, and then that way I'll be able to get the equipment, and I will be able to procure different things from NHK. And then I watch hundreds of their programs, and then I spent months to persuade people to work with me. And Momose-san, I kept him for a year. So I suppressed the amount of the budget as much as possible so that I could keep going back to the school for a year. So I am a director, and then Eric Niari is my producer, and then I did the editing myself, and then I have my team as well. So what I did was to suppress the cost during the shoot, and then there was financial coverage given to me by NHK, and then there's Tokyo Dogs, where you pitch for your idea, and then I got the best script award from them, and then there's Hot Dogs, which is a pitch for documentary, so I pitched there as well. So we got a lot of offers for collaborations, and at the end, Finland, France, during the edit, I was able to have collaborations from these two countries, and so that's why the music came from a musician from Finland, and then France and Finland would air my program, so that was a criteria for them to collaborate with me. So that's how I gathered the money, and then I was doing short films with New York Broadcasting Company as well. So that's how I made this happen. And then I made the domestic version edit, which is the shorter version, and then I gave that to NHK, and then I also made the feature film with the same theme.
Okay. So you just spoke about NHK. So creating two versions was okay. One for NHK, broadcast on NHK, and the other would be for your other releases. That was okay. No problem. Yes. In the Koshien, Japan's Field of Dreams, that was my previous film. We had a similar scheme, and as a director, ideally, it's better to create one film, but different versions. Like we shot 700 hours of footage, and we would create versions that would be suitable for each partner. So. And when we're trying to get funds, there is some sort of compromise there. So depending on version, we might be reaching different audience, different lengths, and I believe that I can create something that I believed in. Okay, so in television, there's a broadcasting slot. Like they tell you how many minutes it has to be. Is that the deal with NHK? NHK version was 60 minutes, and it was still during COVID, and it was elementary school during COVID. That was the background. So it was kind of like a different scene, but we had the same characters, but it was treated as a different film, and so that's how we did it. Okay, you talked about Tokyo Dogs, Hot Dogs, and so the documentary market. There's several around the world, and of course, doing something like that whilst you're directing something else, like sometimes you might shoot, during the 4 seasons, or you might just shoot in one timing, but you were doing, is it possible to work on other things? Yes, yes. I worked on Tokyo Dogs because I had to wait for. Because I couldn't wait for funds for a documentary, and I thought that I will probably get all the funds by the time I complete the shoot, and maybe during the edit I can show what I'm gonna put together. And sometimes you can't get enough funds for editing, but we try to so whatever we make money as a married couple, we would usually spend that money on our shoot, and also the production fee. For the NHK version, it didn't really pay all of our funds, but we did know that we'll have this risk hedge. and and it was taking several years, and we couldn't just stop the money, from coming in. So that's why we had to work on other things and spent a year filming, making of Japanese. Okay. So at times, you would get the funds and then you would shoot, and then sometimes some people would try and look for funds for production, but then maybe the investors of the film would start to feel anxious, what's going to happen after this. So that's why sometimes, the investors have to see everything or else they won't invest. But with documentary, though, I think so it was okay working with NHK and trying to gain funds. Yes, and also the people that I know said that we really have to, you're going to complete this film. They trusted me to do this film, to finish this film, and so of course, there aren't many documentaries where you have all the funds until the very end. It's always like, something will come up. You try and believe in yourself, and it's kind of like an adventure when working on a documentary. Okay, how about director Sawa? You directed a family. Now, so how did you? Okay, so this was a comic. Yes, there's an original story, and that was so you read the comic first, and was it an offer? Well, I had the original script. I wrote the script as a movie scenario, and okay. So just to talk about your background first. So this is your first movie, and you were designing wardrobes and costumes and character designs too. And I also created like sketches for characters in films for about 15 years. Okay, and then so then how were you motivated to direct this? Well, now it's creating the characters. In my generation, there's a lot of movies where people create movies from original scripts or comics, and there's a lot of plots that are not so faithful to the original script. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to have a realistic concept of the characters, and so. And then I have to make use of all of the characters, and that's what I did in pre-production. I tried to work on the surface, design all the structural places first, and then it was kind of like creating a movie. And then I was thinking, okay, well, why don't I create a movie? And then my ambition started to get stronger. Okay. So how many years ago? It was 2019. Okay, it was before COVID. Okay, so yeah, it's right before COVID. And so how about fundraising for the production? How did you collect all the funds? Well, in 2018, I started to work on photo books, and then the two producers came to the shoot, and they understood what I was shooting in the photo books, and I was meeting them through different jobs, and then I gave them my script, and I said I also had other scripts too, one without original stories, and then the producer said, okay, I'll start, working on how to get this movie done. Okay, so once you got the producer in place, the producer then started to look for investors. Yes. Okay, and so this is your first director, and you have a star-studded cast like Nakase-san and all these other characters. So this is do they come from a usual connections, or did you get them through casting sessions? Well, I gave some of the cast members I had proposed, and some of the other cast members, the producer made the proposals. So yes, okay. So then it wasn't like you knew all of the actors beforehand. Well, I think I might have worked with some of them once or twice, in my career. If they knew, if I gave them the title of what I was working on, they would have known me. Okay. Okay. So, it's tomorrow. Is it being screened? Yes, that's on the 30th. So we'll have a Q&A, and I'll be moderating that too. So I might be asking you the same question again tomorrow. Okay. So how, Director Toda then? Director Toda, you you are running a theater, and can you tell us how you came to filming this film? Well, I graduated from the film course from college, and I love movies. I was shooting, independent films, and I know everybody's struggling with this, but fundraising for filming is like such a big struggle. I'm sure everybody can sympathize with that. But I started theater in 2015, and the reason why I started was because I had a stock of original stories, and I was writing scripts, and I thought it would be good if I can try and express those original scripts. And the first play was Ichiko, and luckily that received a screenplay award, and then I thought, okay, so the producer who became the producer of Ichiko came to see the play, and this person really liked the play Ichiko, and then 4 years later we started talking about filming it, and so that's the process. Okay, so that you were doing this on the stage and you wanted to do it in the film? Not really at the time, though.
And then oftentimes I was asked whether I had ideas, and I thought, well, I have screenplays, I have scripts, and I have recordings of the theatrical production. And then when the audience come, I wanted to continue to be a creator, and then I wanted to inspire the people around me, and that's the reason why I decided to establish my theatrical unit. When I was watching it, it didn't seem to me like it was an adaptation of a theatrical production. It was very film-like. And then I learned after watching this film that it was a theatrical production. Was there a big difference how you approach these two? Well, the story is pretty much the same between theater and film, but there were many things that I cannot express in the form of film, what I used to do in theater. So I tried to think of how I could adapt it into cinema. So I feel like it turned out to be something very different. So the producers saw the theatrical production, and then was it the producer that gathered all the finances for you, that did the financing for you? Yes. So this producer was just starting a project to work with upcoming directors, and I knew him when I was doing the theatrical production, and then he reached out to me, and I gave different proposals to him, and then he said, let's work on this book, let's work on this screenplay. And then I started to write the scenario. In terms of the budget, yes, it was the producer who said that he will establish a committee to get the funds. Maybe I should ask it to your producer, not to you, but when the committee is created, many problems arise from this. Some people will be skeptical about the success of the movie, and then when I read the idea, it tackles a lot of societal problems. It's not entertaining type of screenplay, is it? Was there pressure coming from the committee? Were you able to shoot truthfully to what you wanted to create? Well, initially, this producer had this idea of financing it on his own if he can get additional budget through the committee, but it turned out, luckily, that we were able to have Hana Sugisaku as our protagonist, and then Happiness became a part of the committee after that. And then I met them for the first time maybe 10 days, only 10 days prior to the start of the filming. And then because it was already 10 days, they deliberately probably refrained from making any changes to my script. So the investors were quite understanding to your screen.
So this will be the end of our talk session. Thank you so much, everybody.